All right, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome to the Boating Under the Influence is Driving Under the Influence and Operation Drywater Press Conference. My name is Matt Cameron. I am the Public Information Officer for TWRA here in East Tennessee, and I'll be your facilitator for today. If you have questions for any of our speakers, please wait until the end of the conference, and I'm sure they'll be glad to answer your questions. So on behalf of TWRA, I want to thank everyone for joining us to celebrate new legislation going into effect this Saturday, July 1st, that recognizes BUI as DUI, and it streamlines the prosecution process through our court systems. You're going to hear phrases like Operation Drywater, BUI is DUI, drunk boaters become drunk drivers. And because of this, we've invited several folks to speak to you today, including the Tennessee Highway Patrol, the Knox County Sheriff's Department, the Knoxville Police Department, the Knox County District Attorney's Office, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and some state legislators. Collectively, our most important function is to keep the public safe, and we're excited about the synergy of this unified effort. While the voice of each high-ranking official carries weight, our first speaker probably has the loudest voice, at least figuratively speaking, because she has been personally affected by a boating under the influence related accident. At this time, we'd like to invite to the podium Mothers Against Drunk Driving Regional Director, Alex Oddie.
Good morning, and thank you all so much for being here. My name is Alex Oddie, and I'm the Regional Executive Director for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, overseeing Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee, and the immediate past national president of the organization. With the launch of MADD's first ever Boating Under the Influence Awareness and Enforcement campaign in 2022, BUI equals DUI, know before you boat, we have seen an organization-wide acknowledgement that boating under the influence is driving under the influence. It doesn't matter what mode of transportation you're in, when you make a decision to drink or consume other drugs and get behind the wheel, the consequences are dangerous and deadly just the same. On a personal level, I'm so grateful to TWRA, the National Association of State Boating Law Administrators, and Operation Drywater for keeping the conversation going and ensuring that the public is consistently reminded of the problem of boating under the influence. For some of us, we never need to be reminded. You don't have to be reminded of something that you can never and will never forget. When someone is impacted by the 100% preventable crimes of drunk and drug driving, some days become harder than you ever could have imagined. Anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, maybe a random Tuesday 20 years later will be hard. That's why MADD is always going to be here for those who have been impacted by drunk and drug driving, on the road and on the water. Everyone always expects the big milestone anniversaries to be hard, and they are, but none quite as hard as this. This Sunday will mark 13 years since the day a drunk boater ran me over, injuries that I will never recover from, and leaving me with a life's purpose that I didn't choose. 13 years may not seem like a significant number to most, but every day between now and this Sunday will be the last day that I can still say I've lived more of my life with two legs than with one. I have lived in fear of the weight of this day for as long as I can remember. I'm not scared of the water. My dad still lives on the lake in the same house he did when the crash happened. My crash happened basically in his backyard. You can walk out on his back deck to this day and see exactly where it all happened. I've been back to the lake many times since the crash, and I'm not afraid. I know it isn't the water, the boat, or the jet ski that hurt me. It was the man who chose to drink and get behind the wheel. With that being said, though, about a month ago, I was at a school and I was asked a question I had never taken the time to consider. Whether or not I would be afraid to let my daughter, who's due in September, go out on the water. I'd never thought about that before. So I thought about it. And while I know that I might have feelings about that I may not expect when that day comes, I know that I don't want what happened to me keep her from something that she may love too. With that being said, I've never been more thankful for our on-water law enforcement. While we know it is personal responsibility that keeps people from making the choice to drink and get behind the wheel of a boat or a car, you are the safety net that keeps those who have made the wrong choice from hurting others. I can't thank you enough for that. We want people to enjoy the holiday weekend. We want people to enjoy their time on the water all year round and especially over the holidays. But do so in a way that makes sure we all get to go home at night and we all get to go home in one piece, because I didn't. Thank you all for everything you do and for continuing to bring attention to this issue. Have a great July 4th.
Thank you, Alex. We now welcome TWRA Lieutenant Colonel Matt Majors to the podium.
Thank you, Alex. How do you follow that? Since 2009, law enforcement officers throughout this great nation have participated in a national initiative called Operation Dry Water. This campaign is to bring education, enforcement, and awareness that boating under the influence is dangerous and illegal. Throughout my years on patrol, and still to this day, I speak to boat operators that just don't see the harm in driving a watercraft under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Some people will even argue with me and say that alcohol and boats go together. Well, that perspective is 100% wrong, and we must change that mindset. On July 1st of this year, needed and new improvements have been made to the BUI law in Tennessee by our legislators. Punishments for BUI are now equal to DUI. Drunk boaters become drunk drivers when they get to the boat ramp. This is why we're partnering with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, Knox County Sheriff's Office, Knoxville Police, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and the Knox County DA's office, and others across this state in a unified stance against this 100% preventable crime. I would lastly like to remind you that the crime of boating under the influence may affect more people than just you. Regardless of fines, loss of boat operating privileges, jail time, or even the embarrassment of being arrested in front of your family and friends, there's much more at risk. Every year during my law enforcement career, I have sat with victims who have been injured or have lost loved ones because someone chose to boat under the influence. I still see their faces, and I still hear their screams as we gave them the devastating news. And each one of those people have profoundly impacted my life. Each time I speak to a victim or a survivor, most of them say, "Matt, please don't let this happen to another family." Well, that's why I'm here. Make the right choice. Don't boat impaired. The life you save may be your own. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. Next up, we have Tennessee Highway Patrol Major Tim Spicer.
Thank you. Good morning. It's great to be here. It's great to be up here with all of our partners. It's so encouraging to come together with all these different entities from the community with the common goal of saving lives. And that's why we're here today. It's that time of year, a beautiful day like today. People love to be out on the waterways in Tennessee. But when you add alcohol and drugs to the sun and the heat, that is a dangerous and deadly combination. And those same risks transfer over to the road when people try to leave after boating all day. So this is why it is imperative that you always have a sober boat operator and a sober driver when you leave. I want to challenge each of you also that when you're on the water, wear your life jacket. And when you're in your vehicle, wear your seatbelt. Those are two very simple actions that can save countless lives. Just like the Lieutenant Colonel said, the toughest part of the job is when we have to tell a family that their loved one has been lost in a senseless and preventable tragedy. So we're asking everyone today to make the right choice. Never drink and drive in your boat or your vehicle. And in closing, I would like to thank our members of the media for being here today. You all play a very important role in promoting this message, and we're grateful for that. Thank you all.
Very well said. Thank you, Major Spicer. We now welcome Knox County Sheriff's Office Captain Tony Chamberlain to the podium.
Thank you, sir. I'm currently the captain over our aviation unit, as well as our boating enforcement unit and our underwater recovery and dive team. The sheriff and the men and women at the Knox County Sheriff's Office want everybody to have a safe, enjoyable, fun 4th of July holiday weekend. And the last thing any of us want to do, like several other people have pointed out, is we don't want to go tell families that someone has been seriously injured or lost their life because of bad choices of someone drinking and boating, and drinking and boating to get into a vehicle and having a crash on the street and affecting many more lives than just theirs. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Chamberlain. Next, we invite Knoxville Police Department Chief Paul Noel to speak.
Good morning. I'm honored to stand here today alongside our law enforcement and legislative partners to bring more attention to the urgent matter of driving and boating under the influence. One of our foundational missions at the Knoxville Police Department is preventing serious and fatal crashes. As law enforcement, it is a central component of our job to make sure that our roads and our waters are as safe as possible. No single action more deeply threatens that mission or compromises the safety of our roads, our waters, or intoxicated drivers or boaters. In 2023, there was really no excuse to drive or boat while you're under the influence. It is inexcusable and reckless. The consequences are way too high, just like we just heard, and potentially tragic. Despite that, people routinely get behind the wheel while they're under the influence of alcohol or drugs. There have been over 120 crashes so far this year in Knoxville where alcohol or drugs were present. Knowing that, we have and will continue to be aggressive in our efforts to remove drunk drivers from the streets of Knoxville. This year so far, we have made over 200 DUI arrests in Knoxville. We have also increased our DUI awareness and enforcement efforts this year, including 2 separate sobriety checkpoints. We have also increased, and we will continue to conduct those checkpoints on a regular basis all across our city. We ask for everyone to play their part as well. If you're under the influence, find a sober ride. If you know someone is under the influence or about to get behind the wheel, don't let them do it. It is everyone's responsibility to prevent drunk driving and boating. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Noel. So far you've heard from several law enforcement officials, but without successful prosecution in our courtroom, there'd be little fear of impaired operator offenses. We now welcome Knox County District Attorney Sharm Allen to the podium.
Public safety, your safety, that is why we are here. It's about keeping you safe. Every single person standing behind me works hard every single day to keep the citizens of Knox County and the citizens of this state safe. The legislators have worked extremely hard to pass legislation that will go into effect July 1 that will make a drunk driver in a boat the exact same punishment as a drunk driver behind the wheel of a car. Law enforcement standing behind me works tirelessly every single day to make sure that they remove drunk drivers from both our waterways and our roadways. And they do that for you to keep you safe. The public has a role to play as well. The public's role is to not do it in the first place. Find a sober driver. Go to the lake, have fun, but keep one sober driver. It is not rocket science. When you get behind the wheel of a car, have fun, but make sure the driver behind the wheel of your car is sober. It's not hard. Take turns being the sober driver. Save a life, save a family, and save yourself. We as prosecutors are going to take drunk driving, both on the roads and the waterways, extremely seriously. I have a team here today of prosecutors who do nothing but focus on drunk drivers. The fact that I have 4 prosecutors and 2 support staff individuals, that's 6 folks in Knox County alone, that do nothing but deal with drunk driving is absurd. The public can prevent this. Please make wise decisions. It's July the 4th weekend. Have a fantastic time, but find a sober driver for your boat and for your vehicle. Because if you don't, all these folks behind you are going to come after you, and then we as prosecutors are going to finish the job. So have fun, be smart, and be safe.
Thank you, General Allen. We've also been blessed to have some state legislators in our presence because, without them passing these laws, then we wouldn't have strong enforcement and strong prosecution of them to begin with. So we've got Congressman Tim Burchett up for you next.
Thank you. I grew up in Tennessee. I grew up on these waters. My daddy and I fished and in every creek and stream and river, and never crossed my mind that we'd be drinking and be behind the wheel or piloting a boat. But the message comes home to me, Operation Dry Water, and I appreciate the good folks at TWRA for their great work, and our friends at Tennessee Highway Patrol, and our Attorney General Sharm Allen and Becky Massey, our state senator. It's a team effort, but it comes home to me when my mechanic is a friend of mine, and his daughter lost her life because some dirtbag was drinking out on the water. Yet he made it off the water. He came out, he drove home, he crossed 2 lanes of traffic, killed my buddy's little girl, and permanently disabled the driver of the other vehicle. And that is totally avoidable. And I think, I would hate to have the job of having to call a family member to tell them that someone had lost their life because of the irresponsibility of somebody who is drinking and driving. I want to thank the members of our law enforcement community for the great work they do. And I would just hope that this weekend we could all have an enjoyable 4th of July weekend and would not have to listen to any sirens going down the lake or down the street because they're hauling somebody away that got hurt in a drunk driving accident. Totally avoidable. Thank y'all so much. And I thank the great men and women that are standing behind me and those that are standing out there that keep us free and keep us safe. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Congressman. And we also have State Senator Becky Massey in our presence.
Thank you. And it is an honor to be here today. And it was my honor to sponsor this piece of legislation and pass it with Representative Dale Carr up in Sevier County. And, you get a lot of people bring you ideas for legislation, but when they came and talked to me about this, I said, absolutely, we need to do it. Our lakes around here are just in our state are amazing, but especially here in East Tennessee. Like as Congressman Burchett said, I grew up on these lakes too. And they're a lot of fun hours, but we've got to make sure we keep people safe. One of the things that when we were working to pass it that I didn't realize, but that it's up to 1/3 of all recreational boating fatalities are caused by somebody that it's been drinking. And that's significant. I mean, it really is significant. It is, it's kind of great that this is going into effect the weekend of the 4th of July, but this doesn't stop with the 4th of July weekend. This is every day, 365 days a year that people are out on our lakes and then eventually driving on our roads. But this bill really is about boating under the influence. And I think it's just important that everybody realizes, and I echo what all of my peers up here have said, but it really is just important that we all take this personal responsibility. I do want to take a personal note and thank my former peer in the state Senate, Mike Bell, who helped put this press conference together. So let's give Mike a big hand. And I'm just going to close with one phrase: drive sober, save lives.
Very well said, Senator Massey. If there's anybody else here that would like to speak, any other legislators, we'd invite you to the podium now, or any other officials, you're welcome to speak. Okay, if not, that ends the formal part of our press conference, and thank you for attending. And if any members of the media would like to take a boat ride with our officers, they're going to meet you down here at the steps and be glad to take you out for on the water interviews. Thank you very much.